let's talk about it.
Hello and welcome back to Thicc Radio, the award-winning podcast where we talk about gaining, fetishism, and everything plus size. I'm James.
And I'm Tim, so let's get into it. Today we're welcoming to the show the Three Kitchens Podcast. I'm going to let the hosts introduce themselves.
Okay, my name is Heather Dyer, and thank you guys for having us on. We're really excited to be here and talk about podcasts for a change. It's kind of fun.
And I'm Erin Walker, Heather's co-host, and on this ride along with you.
Fabulous. Well, listen, both of you, welcome to Thicc Radio. We were really keen to get this one on the books because, a little bit of backstory here. If people remember last year, we took part in Podcastathon, which is a French charity looking to highlight charities from all over the world. We had the privilege of working with Trans USA last year. We're looking to partner with someone maybe a little different this year. And in the sort of preliminary bits and pieces that happen, Heather and I both happened to be on a call talking with other podcasters about what everyone's doing. And we just sort of thought, wouldn't it be fun to do a little bit of a crossover? So therefore, welcome, ladies. Now, for our guests who may not have heard of Three Kitchens podcast before, what is it?
We have like a little tagline that we like to say that's like, are you tired of cooking the same old thing?
So are we.
So it's like we talk about cooking and baking
In our homes, because we're not professionals. We're just a couple of average people in average kitchens, and how we learn to do things and keep it fun, keep it light.
And how did you two meet originally?
So when two of our kids who are the same age were in preschool, when they were 3 years old, it was a morning class. The kids would be in their little class for a couple hours, and then they'd all come out to the playground, and all the parents would all stand around and watch the kids play. And so we got to know each other because we were standing around with all the parents. And now those boys are 14. So that was a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you all met a number of years ago now, but what inspired the Three Kitchens podcast in the first place?
Well, a lot of our social life was hanging around with our children after school at a playground. And when COVID happened, that stopped because our kids were out of school. And so we were homeschooling our children. And by the end of the day, we'd had it. And we didn't have that same social connection of being in the same place. So we started hopping on Zoom calls, and a few of us would get together and we'd start talking. What are you cooking for dinner? What are you making? How was your day? And it would always turn into, oh, that sounds really good. I want to make that now. And started sharing recipes with each other. And then we thought to ourselves, maybe other people want to hear us talk about this. Maybe we should share it with others. And Three Kitchens podcast grew out of the roots of that.
I'm not sure we actually believed that anyone wanted to listen. We just thought we needed, I know for me, I needed a creative outlet. I know, like how we all felt being kind of stuck at home at that point in time and wanting something to do like outside of the chores and worrying about the state of the world and like we needed something fun and creative. And I thought, well, even if only our friends that we know listen, then it's worth it. As I'm sure lots of independent podcasts start out. You think like, well, I don't know if anybody wants to hear me talk about this, but let's try, right?
Yeah, very similar. I mean, I completely understand that because it was a similar origin story for us. And then, I think I had remarked to James early on, I was like, well, what if nobody wants to hear this? Like, who are we anyway? And I didn't even think that we could talk about that much stuff, honestly. And then James rolled out his Excel spreadsheet, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess we can talk about a lot of stuff. But speaking of your listenership, what's it like to have built that from the ground up? And how have your listeners responded?
Well, we've had, when did we start this, Erin? Was it
2021.
2021. So we've been at it for a while. We just started our 6th season. And by season, it's just, we just take a break in the summer to go off and camp and hike and do stuff away from the computer. And then we call it a new season when we start up again. It's really, that's all it's about. But initially it was kind of slow, I think. But then we started seeing it grow, and it has been kind of slow but steady growth. And it's really fun to look at the stats on the back end and look at the map and see that there's actually people not consistently all over the world, but that we have had listeners all over the world, which just blows my mind. Like, who are you in Frankfurt? And what are you getting from us? Like, I don't know. Not that we don't have anything not that we doubt what we have to offer, but like it's just kind of surprising and really delightful when you see, and it's not our friends, I don't think. It's certainly not our families. Like, I don't think my husband's ever listened to this podcast once because he was a guest. Well, he listened to it. But yeah, it's been kind of steadily, slowly gaining an audience and forming a community of like-minded, food-loving people who just want to cook stuff and eat stuff and share ideas. And yeah, it's been, I mean, we're certainly not like skyrocketing, or we're not top of the charts or anything, but
it's always a nice surprise every week that somebody tunes in and listens again.
Yeah. And now we're on video too. We've introduced YouTube video episodes. So we had the audio on YouTube, but now we have the video as well. And that has been probably growing faster than the audio grew initially. So that's kind of nice. Yeah.
It's interesting, talking shop here a little for a second, when you look at the stats, because it is surprising to see like who actually comes back. Like, I suppose on a professional level, people will say like, well, they'll ask, who is your audience? Who is this for? And for people like us, it's for everyone who really feels like they can kind of identify with what we're talking about, which is men and women of any given age, gay, straight, trans, all over the world. And so actually it's a little bit for everyone. And then that gets reflected back in the stats. And so even though you kind of think, I have an idea in my mind about who might listen to this, then you look at the back end and you're like, there are people in Lebanon tuning into this? Like there were people in like Tibet tuning into, and I'm like, who the fuck in Tibet? Like listening to what the fuck I gotta say? Like,
right?
What's that about? But to our Tibetan listener, hey, like how you doing? Like what's going on? What's happening over there in Tibet? But I love that story. Similar, like as Tim was saying, a similar origin story. We were in lockdown, needed a creative outlet, and really felt that these were conversations that we wanted to have that we weren't hearing being had. So we thought, well, fuck it, we'll be the ones to do it. And if people want to listen, great. And if they don't, then they won't. And that's all good. And still, like over the years, like seeing a listenership increase and getting that feedback from listeners, and as you say, community, I think that's a very real sentiment. The idea that people really do connect through and because of something like what we do is very powerful. And I feel like other podcasters get it because maybe some people get into it because they think they're going to be all that, like, okay, fine, sure, whatever. But I feel like when you get into it because you just want to have a good time with good people, and then you find that there's so much genuine good that comes from it, you really do just kind of sit back and go, I'm a part of something really, really cool. And it's very, like, humbling in the spirit a little bit,
Yeah, we have found that the people that we have met all over the place that we feel that we've developed friendships with over time. And I think there was somebody that we connected to very early on that was like, if you're not making friends on social media and through your podcasting, you're doing it wrong. And I thought, totally, because you find these communities of people who are passionate about speaking and about talking about these things. And even though you're not necessarily seeing us when we started at the beginning with audio, like having somebody in your ear and talking with you, and just like, it's an intimate relationship, even though there's no back and forth necessarily, but
yeah, we were always told that it sounds like when people listen to our podcast, they think to themselves, oh, like if there's us and a guest, they think of it as there are four people in that conversation. And they're the fourth person, and we're all sitting around the table just having a coffee, chatting. They just happen to be taking a big sip every time that they go to speak, and we're the ones carrying the conversation. They're getting to chill back and listen. So I think that's
Yeah.
neat, you know?
Yeah. We've had people say to us that they feel like they are the third kitchen of three kitchens. There actually was a third initially. If for anybody who was with us from the beginning or has gone back to the beginning to listen to the first, Erin, 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I think the first 2 seasons. Yeah.
2 seasons. We had a third, which was why it was called Three Kitchens. We had a third friend who was co-hosting with us, and she went off to do other things after a couple seasons. So we just, obviously we kept the name, and it becomes a question often, why are you called Three Kitchens? Well,
Well, still, I think, you know, it's a beautiful homage to the person who was there. It grants space for the guests, people who participate, for the listeners who see themselves as the third kitchen, but maybe also in a way, the two of you coming together as friends and sharing meals in the way that you do. Each of you all have your own kitchen, and the experience of coming together is the third. It's the greater than the sum of its parts, and it's genuinely it's a strong energy I get from the pair of you, something that's very comfortable and that's very, it feels very safe to listen to. And we talked about this a little bit in the intro call, right? We know from experience that plenty of people, especially in our generation, being slightly younger, that haven't had a history of being taught how to cook and feel a real anxiety when it comes to the kitchen, a reliance on instant meals and takeout, because they don't know what they're doing, and they feel a sense of shame sometimes around even asking the question of how do I do some very basic things. So I think what you'll have created and what you'll are doing is something that probably helps a lot of people to really navigate a lot of those tense feelings, and I really hope that that's feedback that you'll get. Do you get that from listeners, that sense of how you may have helped them or created a space for them to feel a bit more comfortable?
Hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but we don't really get a lot of comments or reviews. I have to say, like, that's probably why we love looking at those numbers, just because then we actually see that people are out there, and we have followers, obviously, on social media, but we don't always get the comments. Or, I mean, people will say, yummy, oh, that looks great, or whatever. Like, it's pretty basic feedback in that way. Would you say,
Yeah,
Erin? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it can be hard to tease it out of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to be fair, it hasn't really been easy for us either to get the kind of feedback that we were hoping we would get. But over the last 5 years, it's been steadily growing. So
I think that's a little part of why, whenever we get the chance to interview other podcasts, I like to talk shop a little bit, and I like to give flowers, because something at the back of my brain says that if we're not getting it, then maybe other people aren't getting it. And maybe we could be the ones here in this moment to be like, you're doing great, sweetie. Keep up the good work.
Oh, I hope
Back
that's,
at you.
yeah, and I hope that stays in the recording so we can play it later. Anytime you want to. I'm just gonna make like a little audio clip of that and like
Oh,
just play it back.
There you go. After this, I'm going to edit it down, and then I'll isolate that bit, and I'll put that as a separate thing, and you all can have that as a little download. There you go.
Make a little meme of yourself, and
Right.
everybody can have it.
Sent it to all your podcasters that you
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
and
There you go.
it's hard because we're playing in this social media space that even in the last 5 years since we started this podcast, it's changed so much. I mean, 5 years ago it was cute pictures on Instagram of food, and that was like our starting point,
Mhm.
right? And now we're, running this website that we have our recipes on, and putting videos onto YouTube, and producing what we're cooking, and like it's this huge growing bubble of things that we do for a hobby.
when I reflect back on when we started and it was just all audio, and we hadn't even considered anything else, and now we do media correspondence with the Full Figured Industry Awards. So like I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago that we would be doing that.
Wow.
Mhm.
It's surreal, but I think again it speaks to the natural response to doing what you're supposed to do in this world, and maybe that sounds a little woo-woo to some people, but like, I don't know. I feel like every like truly successful person who like is at peace with their vocation and what they do, they give that kind of feedback, right? Like yes, you work and yes, you show up and all of the things that you're supposed to do, but the simple factor of like I enjoy what I do. And like I show up and I am my authentic self in that space, and you just put that into the universe. It is incredible what comes back to you and the way in which things just grow and shift from there. To which point, I'd like to ask of the pair of you, what kind of challenges have y'all encountered when it comes to doing Three Kitchens, and what kind of lessons have y'all learned through those experiences?
I think starting up, it was a really big learning curve because we had zero past experience or skills that we've really brought into this at all. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I work in audio, so it made sense for me to jump into this. Like we had nothing. So at first that was really challenging, and just that question of like, what do I have to say, or what do we have to say, or what can we contribute? It was that imposter syndrome feeling like, who are we to tell people how to cook? We don't go to, everything out there is chefs that have professional experience. And so it felt a little bit daunting there, but it was just doing it again and again. And like the fake it till you make it thing, like, yes, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be recorded on a video chat with my girlfriends. And this is going to be something we put out in the world. And we're just going to pretend that we know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that what you said about the professional, like the most food or cooking podcasts you listen to are hosted by chefs, and a lot of them celebrity chefs. So these are people that everyone sees as the gods and goddesses of cooking and baking. Like they want to hear it from them. But then sometimes when you listen to them or watch them, their level is up here. And I'm just this person at home. I don't have the fancy equipment they have. I don't have the knife skills. I don't have like whatever they're suggesting we do, or I don't have access to the same ingredients that they're able to go out and shop for. So it can be a little unapproachable. Mm-hmm. And so what we really had to figure out, like, how can we be our authentic selves and be approachable and relatable and not the authority? Like, we're not trying to tell you how to do something. We're sharing our experience and our stories of what we've been doing, and positioning ourselves as just like you. We don't necessarily know how to do something. Tim, you mentioned creme brulee when we talked before, and I'm like, I never made that.
Yeah,
I would fuck that up in a heartbeat. Like,
it's definitely I don't know, I guess what level would you, I mean, if you could grade them, like it's a level 10 like difficulty just to get the consistency right. So
yeah.
But again, I think it speaks to your authenticity as people. And again, I think this is something that people really connect with. Bear with me on this comparative example, because everyone loves a good cooking show. We love a Master Chef. We love a Kitchen Rules. We love a Bake Off. But you want to know what the most popular show on Netflix was for a good couple of years? Nailed it. It was a cooking show based entirely around the concept of people who had no idea what they were doing. And it was one of the most popular shows on, So I think as much as, of course, we love the artistry and the flair and the gorgeousness that comes from someone who has all of these highly developed skills, we also love seeing people who really are closer to us and seeing what they can do in a moment. What are they going to do to salvage a situation? What are they going to do to try and rise and meet a challenge, And again, I think what you're doing, you're making cooking accessible to people who, again, maybe didn't have a lot of that experience and exposure for themselves. And so it's a safe way for them to be like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to go and listen to Heston Blumenfeld about how to make spaghetti and meatball flavored ice cream. But Heather and Erin are over here showing me how to do bread. You know what? Sourdough starter, baby. Let's get into it. Like figure it out. And you've said in the past, like you don't just talk about your wins, you also talk about the fails as well, right?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that's kind of unavoidable.
Y-
Like,
We'd have to trash all the
yeah,
effort that went into the episode, and by the time you fail cooking something, we have already researched, recorded half of it, and we might as well just record the second half, say, and keep going.
yeah, because we actually do record in our initial half of an episode. Then we go away and cook and
Mhm.
share food, and then we come back together and record the second half. So, yeah, like Erin said, like if we got through the point of eating and we had to scrap the entire episode, like well, all that work for no, we'd rather just talk about why it failed,
Mhm.
the
Try and get
frustration.
advice from each other on like, I
Yeah.
couldn't get this to set, or I couldn't get this to work, or I have no idea what I was doing here, but woof.
Yeah, and we also don't have a problem telling each other if we didn't
Hmm.
really, well, I especially, Erin's a little nicer. I would just be like, I did not like that, Erin.
Gee, James, who does that sound like? I have no idea what that's like. No, no, nobody ever comes right out and just cuts me off at the knees and tells me that something I love is either gross or unappealing.
Oh no.
I
That's me talking about your music taste, not your food, girl. What?
May I remind you that when you have been in my country, you have said, "I don't understand your country. Water doesn't
Oh,
boil, fire doesn't burn."
that's okay. That is true, actually. In that case, story time. I'm gonna share a food failing of my own. So last year, when we were in New York the first time together, we were there for about a week and a half because we were doing the fires for the first time. It was also my birthday, so I was like, "Fuck it, we're gonna make it a whole thing." Fabulous. And we did. We got a little place in Queens. We were having the time of our lives. I got to go to a bodega. I got to, point at American things like flags hanging off of porches and be like, oh, they actually do that. Like, it was fabulous. But we went to said bodegas and bought things, lovely, gorgeous things like bacon and eggs and milk. Because I was like, I'll just make breakfast at some stage. It'll be fine. Except it wasn't fucking fine because American food is insane. I don't understand why it doesn't cook the way that it does in other parts of the world. I grew up in Australia. I live in the UK. I promise you, an egg is an egg is an egg until it comes to America. That American egg does not cook the same way that a British or an Australian egg cooks. And it was dark-thoughted. It was just, I felt the spirit of, the Dark Lord was over that household. It was terrible. I didn't understand. I was stood at the stove for 20 minutes trying to cook bacon. She was still pink. I didn't understand what was
That's probably
happening.
because of all the sugar that we pump into everything over here.
Have you been to Canada? Because now I'm curious if you would have that
Yeah.
same experience. Like, do we have the same food? I don't know. Now I'm
I
so
don't know.
curious.
I'm sure that there are probably more regulations on your guys' food about quality and truth in advertising and health than there, because there's none of that over here. We have the FDA, but it's just a suggestion. Like no one takes
Right.
it seriously, and everyone just puts a bunch of crap into the food we eat, and yeah, it's a
I have
mess.
noticed like big differences between similar things on both sides of the border
Mm.
and like how it's advertised and displayed. And I'm just like, ooh, that's problematic.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
baby, this is your moment. You have the microphone. What kinds of examples might we be thinking of?
So the one thing I remember because we were visiting grandparents who lived down south and they had bought these little containers of pops that are called chubbies, and they were like, all the advertising was like no fruit juice and like 100% free of fruit juice because like apparently fruit juice is the evil thing in the States, but it was all like artificial colors and flavors, and I was like,
Actually, that is
well,
just that the funny part is that is like the one few truth in advertising things that they force them to do because that you have
yeah.
if someone sees that product and they think, oh, it's purple, it must be pure grape juice. They have to print on the label that there is no juice in this whatsoever. It's just corn syrup and food coloring.
Yeah, Yeah, and I was like, they were like, "Oh, we bought this. We thought it was better than the," and I was like, mm-mm.
But I would think an egg would still cook, or the bacon. Like, why was the bacon not browning?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
what's
odd.
going on with that? That seems odd.
There's a lot of sugar and sodium in American processed meat.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
It has to last as long as possible.
Right, right.
Shake
Okay.
my head.
Bacon is like pretty over preserved all around. Like
Mm,
that, you say
Yeah.
bacon, you're getting something with a whole bunch of salts in it. So,
the end of my story is I think it was 20 minutes at the stove. I had a strop, and Tim was like, "I'll cook it." And I was like, "Fine, you cook your food." And then I just sat there at the table, sort of. You ever watch Home Alone?
oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Every time like Harry gets hit, and he's just like, "Shut up!" And it's just sort of that was me until I had the food in hand, and I'm just shoveling it into my mouth. I was so upset.
It was fine. I made the breakfast. It was fine.
When you're
What
not
I think
cooking
what
in your own kitchen, I will say that just throws you right off. Like anytime you have to cook somewhere else where
Yeah.
you're not familiar with how their stove works, what the right temperature is that you want to make things at, like that's always a challenge. I don't think that's
But I'd like to ask the pair of you. So, like James and I, we are childless, and so I know that the two of you are not. So, how do you find the energy to, do everything that is involved in raising kids and still be able to produce a show and film things for your YouTube channel and maintain your website? Like, where do you find how do you get that second wind?
I think
We're both going, "Hmm,
hmm,
I don't know."
I think it's just when life presents you with something that you have to add on to the carousel of things you do, you just do it. And I guess over time, like our kids weren't born teenagers, thank God, they'd be out of the house. Would have kicked them out long time ago. But we just, you learn how to do things little by little and it just becomes part of your routine. We have really well trained children. This is something that we had a really good laugh about this yesterday because our children, for example, will open the fridge and see an ingredient and think, should I eat that? Or does mom need that for cooking? And so Heather's children have been known to text her, "Hey mom, is it okay if I eat this cottage cheese or whatever's in the fridge?" And she'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's fine." And they'll ask before they dig into something because in the past if they haven't and it's something we need, there's maybe a little bit of mom rage that goes along with that.
They'll say, "Can I eat this or is it for the podcast?"
Yeah.
They always
Yeah.
check first. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Good to check.
they've learned to love days that food gets delivered, which I mean, we love days that food is delivered, and so do they. They're just like, they open the door, your Heather is here, and up it goes.
It's like skip the dishes. I'm here. I brought you food. But it's
That's
like,
fabulous.
no, give it to your mom. It's not for you. It's like they try to grab it first, and it's like, you gotta wait.
Yeah.
Because if there's
Yeah.
nothing left for Erin to eat, then we're screwed.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to tell the husbands to back off. That's a common.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, what a blessing of an issue to have. That clearly your food is so delightful that both husbands and children are like, "Oh no, I would like to eat the thing. Please give me the food." I feel like my mother would have enjoyed having that problem growing up. It was usually just my siblings pilfering her chocolate, and oh Lord, that was not the one. You did not take Mum's chocolate and not replace it. Otherwise, hand of God. It was nice knowing you. Goodbye. I call dibs on the room,
yeah. It's our hardcore hobby. It's what we love doing. So I mean,
You make time
Or-
for it. It's amazing how you can find time to do the thing that you enjoy doing. Like I'll put off my actual paid work. Oh, I hope they don't listen. I can't see why. No.
We can scrap that. It's fine.
No. It's fine. It's fine. I'll like be like, okay, I'll do that at 2:00. It's 10:00. First, I'm gonna do like I got some podcast stuff to do first, and we have to fit in recordings when we can fit in around all the running around with the kids, or like who's home, who's away, how much interruption is there going to be, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So we often will just jump, like text each other, are you free right now to record for 20 minutes? And then we just hop on and get something done. And thankfully, we're not all that concerned with with really what we look like on those videos, because there have been plenty of times that we're in our pajamas,
Yeah.
like literally. Maybe you can't always identify it as
No,
pajamas,
I
but
completely,
you know, yeah.
yeah, I completely get it because we've introduced video element into our podcast now in this season, and there's plenty of times where we're recording where my hair's not done. I'm in like this, in whatever I slept in, like, or I'm in like the junkiest thing that I can find or the most comfortable thing, and I don't care anymore. I mean,
If
who am I
we,
trying to impress at this point?
in seasons past, if we have recorded in the height of summer, I am shirtless, and it hasn't mattered because we're not using the video. But obviously, this season it was like I can't have the aircon on, I can't not have some kind of displayable top on. So now I have an invested hand fan that every time I don't have to speak, I turn myself on mute, and I am just furiously fanning myself to deal. But what you're saying about like you make it work with the time that you've got makes perfect sense. Tim's based in Cleveland, I'm in London. It's a 5 hour time difference. And when you talk to people from all over the world, you just accept the fact that somebody has to take that call at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not our favorite, but also we make do with what we have to because this is what we agreed to do. And we're trying to make it as ethical as possible for everybody who's participating in the situation. I did want to ask really quickly though, because my instinct is to call you all Wonder Mums, because I truly feel that, first of all, the women in our world do not get championed enough for all of the things that come onto your shoulders. But then there's also the thing of, we're all so quick to be like, hey, y'all are amazing. But then nothing ever actually ends up changing. So you're just like, during COVID, when everyone was like clapping for nurses, and it's like, yes, thank you for giving us accolades that we're doing all this work, but you're not actually helping us like out of this situation right now. So there's a little part of me that would like to inquire, like as working mums and doing everything that you do, like how does that kind of effigy sit with you? Do you like that kind of sense of championing, or is there that little sense of like, haha, thanks so much, come and take something off my plate, please?
I think it's more, yeah, save the praise and just like take some of the work. Or I mean, like, what does recognition really get you? You still got all the shit to do. I don't know if that's real cynical, as I'm the old one of this group here. So
No, I completely agree with that.
My 50-year-old mentality, you know, is like, whatever. Like, you can say thanks, you can say I did a great job, you can, not you, but like,
No, yeah.
in general, especially coming from like my family or whatever. It's like, okay, yeah. Oh, thanks for cooking this great dinner, Mom. And I'm like, well, you're very welcome. Now go do the dishes. Like, I'm not doing that too. Like, not that they assume I will, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, if I didn't do it, you'd all be complaining that you're hungry. So like, I don't know. It's like,
I know my husband is always like saying to the kids, you have no idea how good you have it when it comes to the food and getting meals on their thing. They're like, someday when you're, you know, off on your own and you have to do your own dishes and all you have to eat is ramen, and you're going to be so sad wishing that your mom was cooking you this dinner, especially if they complain about, you know, like, oh, I don't like those peas in there. You know, the kids have become like little mini food critics at the same time, right?
they're
Like,
so spoiled with your
because they're
excellent cooking.
well, they're so spoiled with all the excellent cooking that comes through the house between the two of us. And then like I'll talk with my husband, like, oh, what do you think of what Heather made? And we'll like really break it down. Well, then they feel like, well, that opens door for me to break down every meal that you make, Mom. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to also say like, oh, wow, you do so amazing. It's like, well, everyone's got to eat. So, I mean, if I'm going to cook food, I want to cook something that I'm going to like, that I'm going to eat. And if I'm going to put the effort in, like, this is what we're having. I don't think Heather and I are much for catering to too many food dislikes in our house. It's, you know, what's for dinner, what I serve you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is another question I wanted to ask. Considering all of the expectations, again, placed on you, when it comes to we have to sit down and make enough food for the podcast that comes out and all of this that goes on, like, do you end up having to factor in the kids and the hubbies and people that are coming to stay? Or how do you actually choose what you're going to make?
Well, like Erin just said, we choose what we want to eat. And I mean, there is some discussion. We just met yesterday and discussed, like, okay, what's coming up? We looked at our calendar for the next couple months for episodes. And what have we got? We look at like how many meat things do we have? How many sweet things do we have? How many breads, whatever. We don't want to repeat. We don't want to become kind of like one note. So sometimes that factors into our decision, but it's always going to be something that we like to eat. When I look at what I want to make, even if I'm not telling Erin in advance, because sometimes we record and we don't know what the other person is going to make, which is fun. I have already thought about, does Erin like this too? Will Erin want to eat this as much as I do? And she considers my lactose sensitivity. I've got her trained well. She's like, she already has her substitutions in mind. You know, I know that she hates cilantro, so I'm already thinking about that. Like we've been doing this for so long and we know each other. And thankfully we like to eat a lot of the same things. So really it comes down to what are we craving and what do we think would be really yummy?
And I'm curious, like I know that the economy all over the globe is not really doing the greatest right now. So like to buy both food for your families and for the podcast, like how do you manage it in a way that's as economic as it can possibly be?
I think the fact that anything that we make in our kitchens is getting eaten really helps. Like if we're producing content for this, like it's not in like a test kitchen or like on a set where we're doing it 3 or 4 times until we get the right shot or it looks just perfect. Like the video you see is pretty raw because it's what we're doing in the moment, and sometimes we're doing too much in the moment and also trying to film at the same time, right? And so I mean, the fact that everyone's eating what we've made, I like to think that it's not as wasteful as maybe some food production for sure can be. And I mean, it's something that has come up more and more as time's gone on in our podcast. I think if you would look back at some of our older things, we were, you know, really stretching and trying things that were maybe more expensive or specialty things that we haven't had. And now it's something we really consider is like, what's the cost of this? How much is this going to make or feed? How many people, how far can we stretch this? Because it's something to be really conscious of for sure. And I guess at the end of the day, like we're very lucky because we come from a place of privilege where we can buy the ingredients for the stuff that we want to make. And neither of us have been in a situation where we've had to think too in depth about it. And it's more just making sure we have enough to share. But we do consider that a lot in what we make, especially this season, like Heather was saying, for sure.
Yeah, like thinking, is there a cheaper cut of meat I could use to make something like I want to make? I mean, it being 2 of us, sometimes, you know how you have to buy like some ingredient that you think you're going to use like twice and you can't use it all up? We'll like split it and each take, like I had some spices for the Diwali episode we did recently where we made some Indian food. And I had like some extra spices, which I divvied up and we shared them because, you know, it takes a long time to use a big bag of mango powder or whatever, at least for me. Maybe now I'll use it more. I don't know. But we want this podcast we want to offer up ideas that are accessible and affordable and easy to modify. If you can't afford that piece of meat, use this other one. Or here's how you can make it veggie instead of animal protein. Or, you know, we try to mix up the more fun, challenging things with like the simple skillet meal or, you know, the more basic stuff. But it is a consideration for sure.
I love that. And again, I think that speaks to the intent behind what you do to really make to really make it into something that people can not only like watch and enjoy cursorily, but also like join in and actually try it at home and make it work for themselves. And I love that you mentioned the Diwali episode because, you know, food, and we talked about this in the sort of pre-conversation, food is one of those things culturally that I think is shared and connects people more so than any other concept because music is limited to whether or not you can play and access an instrument. Fashion is limited to fabric, but food, almost all ingredients are now something globally accessible in some way, shape, or form. So all forms of cuisine are something that you can have in your kitchen at home at any given time. And, you know, we noticed that when we were looking through the sort of recipes that you'll have on the website. You've got stuff from all over. And what I'd like to ask you all about is when it comes to navigating that sense of cultural curiosity with food, like how do you navigate that, especially when you think of things like history and political context behind certain foods and recipes?
We have never tried to be an authority on these things, right? And we do try to give a bit of information about like where the dish originated or what the history is of it when we can.
I think we just try and give a bit of a context.
Yeah, a bit,
but not the
but it's not the
deepest
focus.
dive.
Yeah, it's not the focus of our podcast. We just happen to love all the food and we want to try making all the food. And like a lot of people, when we travel somewhere, we try the food, then we come home and we want to try to make it. But we are more and more, I think, sensitive. There's a lot of groups around the world feel real ownership towards a dish, say. I mean, there's slight variations from one group of people to the next group of people, but they both claim it, you know, and no matter where you go on social media on any topic, people want to argue about stuff. I don't know why. Like, really, there's enough negativity and divisiveness in the world. Do we really need to argue about food? It should be, like you said, the thing that brings people together. You know, we eat when we celebrate, we eat when we mourn, we eat to support each other, we eat on a business meeting, a first date, a family dinner, all those things, you know, we connect over food. And we also always say, we will mispronounce all the words. This is just the way it is. Not on purpose, and not that we don't try to pronounce words that are not in our native language, but it's going to happen. And we don't want to offend anybody, so we just try to, look, we're Canadian. We're not trying to ruffle everybody's feathers over here. We're just like, we just want to eat some yummy stuff. And we found that, sorry, Erin.
No, I was just going to say, I think we're both just like naturally curious about everything that we're cooking or making. And everybody's gotten to that point where you look something up, you do some research, and you come across the information, you think, oh, I'll share that. And then you have to backstep and be like, oh, so it was saying that, but I was wrong. And that's
or
okay too.
It's more nuanced than my research led me to believe, and there's more to the story that wasn't really what I was here to tell, I guess. Yeah.
I think that's a very common experience across a lot of different verticals. You know, what is it they say in Buddhism? The greatest lie is the idea of separation, that everything is so perfectly siloed and that information can be boxed and packaged perfectly neatly. But almost all concepts in the universe are like overlapped with 50 million other things. And you know, I don't know that there is such like a true ownership of any idea or concept. I think so long as things are approached with respect, I think it's all fine, you know. And it certainly sounds like that's something that you'll do. As something I'd like to inquire, have you all come across the concept of bean soup theory by any chance?
I don't think so.
No.
Because this is something that came out of sort of the food blogosphere. Because of course people will, whatever platform, have a recipe. They'll do a little video. This is my grandma's bean soup recipe, and this is how I make bean soup. And inevitably there will be people in the comments going, I'm allergic to beans and I don't like soup, so what am I supposed to do? And at that point you just have to go, it's not for you then, hun. You have to be able to scroll. You have to be able to look at this, assess that it's not for you, and truly not comment on that. Like, just keep it moving. You know, like if you turn on the TV and you don't like what you see, you got to pick up that remote and you got to change the channel. And you just got to accept that what's happening on the other channel is not something that you want to see. and that's
Yeah.
okay. So do you all get any of that from people? Because obviously you're sharing recipes. Do you get that where it's like, I'm making roasted corn, and somebody's like, corn would kill me, and you're like, then don't do it, babes. Don't make the corn. Don't roast the corn.
Keep going.
We haven't really, it comes back to that not getting a lot of feedback. I don't think we've ever had a comment on a recipe on our website, for example, even though we get traffic there. Somebody's going there, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise. No negative comments. There have been a couple of social media things. I say I because I'm the one managing the account, but we got yelled at in all caps from someone who didn't like that there was, ingredients from this culture and that culture. And I think what we learn from some of that is like the word fusion is a good thing.
That's our
Because-
friend in all of our recipe
Yeah, it's going to
titles
cover
now.
it's going to cover it off if we're mixing stuff that people think there should be a hard line between. And this reminds me of a video I just watched earlier today on TikTok where a woman was making something and she was responding to a comment that said, that is not authentic. It was Nanaimo bars, actually. So I feel like I can speak to it somewhat. I said, that is not authentic. And she pointed at this comment and she said, I never said it was authentic. I said it's mine. It's my Nanaimo bar. It's my take on this recipe. So I think maybe that's our lesson in this world of, people who can't help themselves but comment like this, is to just upfront, this is our take on it. It's a fusion, if it must be stated that it's, this and that, or it's inspired by, maybe it's Korean inspired. It's not authentic. We would never say authentic in a recipe title because I'm not even sure there is such a thing, right? Because everybody's grandma makes it different or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and we've also noticed like some recipes we will look at and we'll be like, oh, this is just like this thing on this other side of the planet. And I can't think of what I'm specifically thinking about right now, but there have been things where like you look up a recipe and you're like, oh, that's just like the thing we made, but it was from here and like 3 ingredients were different. Like, isn't that cool that almost everything else is the same except for a few things that just make it whatever ingredients are accessible or available in that part of the world versus this part of the world. And like, isn't that kind of beautiful? Like,
yeah, people will comment and say, oh, I know this thing. We call it something else, but we eat it too. Yeah.
Like flatbread and dumplings, like every culture figured that you should put meat in some kind of a pastry and you should cook that and then eat it and it will be delightful, or
Thank God, because we love a dumpling.
we love a dumpling, love it.
Much like James and I, there's a bit of an age gap between the two of you, and James loves to make age jokes at me. Is there any kind of dynamic that you guys have where, like one of you might be like, hey, do you remember this kind of thing? And the other one's like, no, I wasn't there.
There's 9 years, 9.5 years or something like that between us. We discussed this yesterday and we're like, not really. Like,
No.
I
mostly just aspire to be as on top of my shit as Heather is.
It's an illusion.
Because you're pulling it off.
Well, and Erin says that she's an old soul. And then I say, well, I must be immature. And somehow we meet in the middle because it seems to be fine. I don't know. And we have kids the same age, roughly. So,
Yeah.
in fact,
we live
I'm
in a
older,
house
but
with
I have
3
younger
boys.
kids. Yeah,
Ugh.
we both have boys. I think the differences sometimes in like cultural reference or something might come from I grew up in the country, she grew up in the city. That's like the most difference, I think, that we've come across. And that's not even
See, James, some co-hosts don't have to hurl abuse at the person they're doing the show with.
Girl,
Only you.
girl, first of all, shut the fuck up. Second of all, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because Tim is 10 years older than me, but he looks the same age as me. Because Tim is mixed race, and so therefore he's going to look gorgeously smooth for about 1,000 years. I am afflicted with pure caucasity and I am ginger, which means the whiteness is very delicate. In 10 years' time, I'm gonna look like his dad. It's gonna be terrible. So I'm just getting it in good while I can before it all comes crashing down.
And we'll be here to watch that all
Just
unfold.
watch it all unfold.
We'll just be watching like a spectator sport.
Yes, please do. Bear witness to my downfall.
You have to make sure you make one of those sped up aging videos, you know, when people take them of their kids as they change over time, right? You guys can do that from your podcast and Tim will stay the same. And then you'll just get older and older.
I'm pretty sure my face will get larger. I feel like my face is twice the size it used to be, so that might change.
That might change. That might change. People say you end up looking like your parents, and if I look like my father, that is horrible. I wouldn't wish that on most people. Ugh, God. Oh my goodness. But listen, y'all are called Three Kitchens Podcast, so I want to know, what do y'all think are the three biggest things we need in our kitchens?
Who's gonna go first? We were like, okay, let's each make a list and we'll see if we have the same things on our list.
Yeah, we'll see if we agree. We took this as a homework side project to see
cute.
how much we agree or disagree, maybe.
And I felt like, I don't know, I just like wrote down three things because I cannot decide. But
Yeah.
okay, go ahead, Erin, and then we'll see.
Okay, my first thing, and we shared this, was cast iron pan, because I think a good cast iron pan is something I didn't have in my kitchen for a long time, and my cooking got tons better as soon as it entered my kitchen. And I was like, damn, why did I not know that you need a cast iron pan in your kitchen? It makes it all better.
I agree. And I would even say a Dutch oven is also good. Very multi-purpose. Love my ginormous Dutch oven.
Yeah, you have a nicer one than I do. I don't like mine as much. I haven't gone down that. I haven't cleared enough space out in my cabinets yet. All right.
Yeah.
Is there a secret to an easy way to season cast iron skillet? Because like I know like it's the instructions were like to rub it down with the canola oil, put it in the oven, turn it up to 500, let it like do that for a couple hours. Is there a faster or easier way to do that?
I don't think I've ever done that to my pans.
Oh,
You did, Erin, you did like in some instructions on that in one of our, remember you refinished those old cast iron
I bought
pans
some from a antique store. They were just like little guys that are like 4 inches. And so I didn't know if someone used it as a motor oil pan, or who knows where these things come from when they're old. So I did a scrub down. But my other cast irons, I mean, I cook in them. I rinse them in hot water. I toss some water when I'm done and I boil it and scrape it and rinse it. And then I just pop some oil on there and rub it with a paper towel and just let all the water evaporate off. And then it goes in my cupboard again.
Yeah, do it while it's hot.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
also, I will just say, because there are debates online about whether or not you put soap on your cast iron pans. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can use soap if you need to. There were things about using salt instead of soap and whatever. No, you absolutely can. And I got it straight from Lodge Cast Iron, which is like a very old cast iron brand. And on their social media thing, that they say, go ahead and use soap. They say it all the time. So
I was going to say, I've also heard that from like the chef community that I've paid attention to through Instagram, that buy cheap cast iron, do your best on it, but like if it cracks or breaks or you fuck it up or whatever, like don't break your heart over it, like then just start again.
And that
then-
could be it. I could be using like maybe just an inferior quality of cast iron, and like maybe if I invested in I don't know, I don't even know how much it should cost to be considered good, but yeah, it's just it's something that I've tried to master. Like whenever, but inevitably everything will start to stick again, and I'm like, and then it's such a pain to try to get it unstuck from iron.
yeah, I think that's when it's hot and you've taken all the food out of it. That's like Erin said, put water in it, let it boil basically in the hot pan. and
Yeah.
then clean it. Like get a scrubby in there or whatever, and like
I
I'll
like
have to try
my
that.
like a
rub it
wooden
out.
spoon or whatever, just to
Mhm.
scrape everything off. And then I just dump out that hot water and under my tap, just kind of use my fingers to like get anything else unstuck
Mhm.
and rinse it out. And then, yeah, just that oil at the end.
I'll have to give
And
that a
then just do
try.
this. Just do this. And just hope it
Everybody is
lasts a little
so
longer.
intense about like their cast iron. It's like their face cream regime. They're very, they're
I've noticed
very
that
intense
too.
about
I
it.
never realized that. I was like,
Oil
yeah.
your face, oil your pans,
Sounds a little bit,
age like Tim.
yeah, exactly. A little Joan Crawford in Mummy Dearest is a little like face ice bath, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
if one of your children mess up the cast iron pan, you say, "I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the dirt," and then you sort of scrub and look a little manic, and it's fine.
What else do you have on your list, Erin?
Ooh, I put my kitchen scale.
Oh yeah,
I
for
picked
sure.
the things that I use the most, and having a kitchen scale is the easy way to make sure you're consistent.
Hmm.
Because as soon as I feel like, oh, I've got this, I don't need to measure out what a quarter cup of butter is. I can eye that. I can't weigh it out. Just do what's the right thing. Take the 2 seconds to take out your scale. That's
Yeah.
my second item. And if you start baking, when you can find recipes for baking that have everything measured in weights, it is so much easier. You're not going through like 12 measuring cups and spoons and all that kind of stuff because you've had to measure. No.
Tablespoons of butter. It's like
Yeah.
how can you measure a tablespoon of butter? Just
Weigh it,
say,
baby.
just say, hey, Alexa, how many grams is 4 tablespoons of butter? And then it tells me, and then I weigh it on my scale, and that's how
I
that's how
have
I
a
do it.
cross-stitched butter weight chart on my wall, so
Well,
I'm an old soul, okay?
No, that's fabulous, and I also agree because Canada, you use the metric system, right?
Ding
mhm.
ding.
Oh, thank
Well,
God.
we use a mix.
Well,
Don't
then we
get us
also have
started
to
on.
like,
We
yeah,
also measure our height in inches and feet, and we
weight in
have some
pounds. Yeah.
weird things. So
They do that
sorry.
here too, and
Oh,
then weight is in stone, and a stone
oh
is
Yeah.
14 pounds. Like 12 at least is a clock. Like
yeah,
I can do a clock. 12 months in a year, but 14?
yeah,
What the fuck is in 14s? Why? What is it? Anyways.
yeah.
What was the third thing?
I
All
would say
right.
a knife. Oh, sorry, I jumped in there. My
Oh,
third thing. I
no,
also had
that's
the
okay.
scale, and then I said a knife.
And I said a wooden spoon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a knife is obviously something I use every day and you have to have. But I like wooden
Yeah.
spoons, not plastic ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're sturdier. My partner loves like a silicone spatula, but every time he's in the middle of being like, you see how this just like runs around the edge of the thing, he tries to like scrape something with that bendy end and it ends up like flicking sauce against the splashback, and I've got to
Yeah.
clean that later. I would offer, along with a knife sharpener. Because knives go dull very, very quickly, and people get real frustrated where it's like, my chicken won't cut. Like, your knife is probably very blunt. Like, you just got to get a little something to, like, do a little back and forth, run around to the tab, make sure it's all nice again, and then it'll just fine.
Yeah.
I try to take in the two knives that I use the most. It's $10 by our place to get them sharpened. So I try to do that once a year. And then they take out all those little chunks and bumps in my knife and keep it good.
Well, you have a very fancy knife.
I
Yeah, you
guess.
invested in a nice kitchen knife.
We did invest
Yeah.
in like a nice kitchen knife.
Yeah.
But I still like my other one just as much. So those two I keep sharpened.
So, what do you feel is the crossover between the conversations we each have with our listenership?
Remember in the initial conversation you said everybody's got to eat. This is when we were talking about this, we were like, that's the connection here because
Mhm.
everybody's got to eat. And I think listeners for both of our shows are foodies, I would imagine.
It's
Right?
easier to eat when it tastes good. And I don't think there's ever a point you get to where like, yes, now I know how to cook everything. I no longer need to think about cooking again.
Yeah, or you are sick of, like we said, are you sick of cooking the same old thing? You're just looking for someone to give you some new ideas.
Mm.
And that's what we hope we can offer up,
I would agree with that.
I guess.
You know, certainly
Yeah.
looking through, again, the recipe list on yours website, I was like, I could feel inspired to cook some of these things and like gorgeously simple recipes in a lot of those instances. So I'd like to take this opportunity for our listeners. If you are looking for new things to try, we're going to have the link in the show notes, but you go on over to threekitchenspodcast.com/recipes and you will find a gorgeous list of things. Over 300 recipes at this stage, I believe. So get you on over there and have a look at what is on offer. But I agree. The crossover to me seems so obvious that everybody's got to eat. And why would you not want food to be good? Why would you not want food to be delicious and tasty? If it's tasty, you eat more of it. So, baby, make good.
And if you're the
We-
person who cooks for someone else, they're gonna appreciate your efforts more if you put out something that's really tasty, you know. And if you're not like, if you're starting out or you're not sure if, like, you're a very good cook, that comes with confidence, which just comes with practice. Like, I honestly feel like when we started this podcast, I was like, oh, I don't know. Erin and Sarah are like amazing cooks. And I felt like it was a chore, which was why I wanted to talk. I wanted their advice. I wanted their ideas because I always felt like, oh, I have to make dinner again. And, you know, I'd be like, I don't know how to do this. How are you making that? When we had those Zoom calls during COVID, I'd be like, what are you making? How do you make that? Like, I've never even thought to make such a thing. And over time, I feel like I'm a much more confident cook, even though I screw things up all the time and I don't really know a lot of stuff. But with practice, you become better at it. And I think listening to people talk about their experience and different techniques, or like how, you know, how we explored something to get to the end product. We try to give tips and we try to give suggestions for making it easier, how you do it at home with the stuff you've got, then maybe that will, you know, make you feel a little more inclined to try, I guess.
And where do you guys want to see your podcast go next?
You know, when we started this whole thing out, we had a vision of what we were making, but we didn't really know where it was going. And we just kind of, as people asked questions or opportunities came up, we would be like, yeah, sure, let's try that. Oh, okay, let's do this. And originally it was just us talking with between the three of us. And then somebody said, hey, do you want to do guests? And we thought, oh, well, maybe we could do guests and interview people, even though we don't know what we're doing, but sure, let's do that. And, you know, we've started interviewing guests. We've made connections with other podcasters. You know, people wanted us to have this website. Where can we find these things? And we've just kind of grown very organically with wherever it seems to go. So
This
I don't-
season, we just started a new type of episode. We've only published one of them so far. We call it Food for Thought, and it's basically just whatever we want to talk about that is somehow related to food. And it's a different format. It's a different thing. Sometimes it'll be scripted. We just recorded one. Erin had her script, which is like a new thing. Normally we just, you know, talk. And so we're trying different things. We're playing around with it. And, you know, we did a cocktail series that was, I forget how many episodes, I don't know, a dozen or something. And that ended and that was fine. And we just move on to something else. And now we're in a position from that first time somebody pitched us to be a guest and we were like, what? A guest? Somebody wants a guest on our show? Like, that's amazing. Now we're turning guests away when they don't fit what we're doing. And we have a pretty decent success rate when we pitch ourselves to guests and invite them to come on the show. I feel like I've kind of gotten pretty good at doing that. I don't know. Like, I'm like, oh my God, they said yes. And every time I'm surprised and amazed, I'm like, Erin, they actually said yes. But we're just kind of like feeling it out as we go and doing what feels fun. Because if we're not having fun, then we're not doing this, because it costs us money and a lot of time, as we've talked about. And the whole point of it is a fun hobby. So if it's not fun, then it's not happening.
No, I appreciate hearing that from you all. And as a way to begin to close things out, what do you want our listeners to take away from today's conversation?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what I said about just trying. Like, if you're unsure about how to make that creme brulee or whatever, just try. Like that's kind of our whole thing because we don't know how to. Erin, I don't think had ever made liver pate, but she did it.
Nope.
And you just start. You just pick a point, think the thing that you like to eat, something that sounds good to you that doesn't, it's not the most overwhelming thing you can find, but something kind of achievable, and just give it a try. And don't be afraid to fail, because you will. Something will burn or just won't set, or cooking is kind of weird. There's lots of things, baking especially, things can go wrong. Things separate that you don't even understand how they were ever together, but now they're separate. Like weird stuff goes on. But if you just try it. And hopefully you come up with something that tastes good.
Yeah, just try and have fun. Find something that you're gonna like making. Maybe don't start with liver pate unless that's like really your jam, and that's what you really, really live for. Start with something that you really like at your favorite bakery, or a simple dish that you always eat at a restaurant or something. Find something that's going to make you feel happy and that you're okay making again and again, because you're going to want to try it and make it different and add little things and find out like, oh, if I don't have asparagus, I can put broccoli in there, or I can put, peas in there, or, find out those little substitutions of things you like.
Heather, Erin, I just want to say a big thank you to the pair of you all for coming on and sharing your joy and yourselves with us today. This has been an absolute delight. Both, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here. It's been wonderful chatting with you over the last few days.
Yeah. And it's nice to talk about podcasting. Yes. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's fun. We should do that more.
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
Now, where can our listeners find y'all online?
We're at threekitchenspodcast.com. You can listen to all our episodes and find all the recipes there. And we're on all the usual podcast apps. If you want to listen, you can also listen or watch on YouTube. We're at Three Kitchens Podcast all over social media: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, TikTok. Did I get them all? Oh my God. It's a bit crazy. We're overachieving. I don't know if we're achieving. We're overdoing it maybe. But we'd love to connect. Obviously, as we said, we don't get a lot of comments and the feedback. So please come and say hello and let us know if you cooked something that we've talked about. We'd be thrilled to hear it.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Well, listen, y'all, that is it for another week here on Thicc Radio. Please remember to like and subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and leave us a good review. Now, if you liked this episode, the podcast, our guests, or just us in general, please share it with your friends and encourage them to tune in. You can find me on Instagram and BlueSky at stannnum.
And you can find me on Instagram at thiccymouse and Grommr at orpheus. You can also find us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Thicc Radio, or visit our website at podpage.com/Thicc Radio. If you'd like to become a financial supporter of the show, you can donate through our PayPal, and you can always email us at thethickradio@gmail.com. So until next time, bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Bye, Fats.
Let's talk about it.
Thicc Radio is a Spotify podcast.
Artwork, media design, editing, and production by James Heinsohn.
With original theme music by CYMK.